Good morning, Jss2 students, and welcome once again to our e-learning. Today we're looking at revision on Pythagoras rule. In our subsequent classes, we talked about Pythagoras theorem or rule, where we say that in a right angle triangle, the square on the hypotenuse is equal to the sum of the squares on the remaining two sides. For instance, we have a right angle triangle. We say that the right angle triangle is a triangle that has one of its angles to be 90 degrees. So, having this triangle, we have our hypotenuse and the two adjacent sides. So, if we call this A, B, and C, we use C to represent the hypotenuse. The hypotenuse is always the longest side of the triangle and also the side facing our angle 90 degrees. For our right angle triangle, the hypotenuse is always the longest side and it's always facing our angle 90 degrees. So we say that Pythagoras rule states that the square on a hypotenuse, that's C, is equal to the sum of the square of the remaining two sides. That's C squared equals A squared plus B squared. C squared equals A squared plus B squared, where C is our hypotenuse and our A and B are the remaining two sides. Now, our Pythagorean triples, referred to as any three whole numbers that satisfy Pythagoras rule, we call it a Pythagorean triple. Any three whole number that satisfies Pythagoras rule, we call it Pythagoras triple or Pythagorean triples. For instance, if we have, say, 3, 4, and 5, these are our hypotenuse. And these three numbers obey Pythagoras theorem because 3 squared plus 4 squared should give us 5 squared. Remember our rule again, the square on the hypotenuse is equal to the sum of the square on the remaining two sides. This is 9, 3 squared is 9, plus 4 squared is 16, equals 25. 9 plus 16 is 25, and 25 is the same as 5 squared. So since this obey Pythagoras rule, we say 3, 4, and 5 are referred to as Pythagorean triples. Pythagorean triples, because these three numbers obey Pythagoras rule. The other numbers you can say 12, 5, and 13. 12, 5, and 13. 12, 5, and 13. You see that 5 squared plus 12 squared. 5 squared gives us 25 plus 12 squared gives us 144. If we add this together, we get 169. And the square root of this is 13. So 13 squared is the same as 169. Therefore means that 5 squared plus 13 squared is, 5 squared plus 12 squared is equal to 13 squared. So the numbers 5, 12, and 13, they obey Pythagoras theorem because the sum of their squares of these two should give us the square of our hypotenuse. And as such, we call these three numbers Pythagorean triples. Any three sets of whole numbers that obey Pythagoras rule is referred to as Pythagorean triples. Look at this. A ladder 17 meters long leans against a vertical wall. The ladder is 15 meters away from the wall. How far up the wall does the ladder reach? A ladder 17 meters long leans against a vertical wall. The ladder is 15 meters away from the wall. How far up the wall does the ladder reach? We are told that the ladder leans against a vertical wall, so we make a sketch first. We have our ladder, which is 17 meters long. It leans against a vertical wall, so we call this our wall. This is our ladder, and this is our wall. So the ladder 17 meters long leans against a vertical wall. Now the ladder is 15 meters away from the wall. From the ladder here to the wall, we have 15 meters. How far up the wall does the ladder reach? We're looking for this part. This part is our unknown now. How far up the wall does the ladder reach? What's the length from here to this point? You can call it S. You can see now that the ladder has formed a right angle triangle with the wall. As you can see, we have our ladder forming our hypotenuse, and we have our adjacent side. Now to find the unknown, we apply Pythagoras rule. So using Pythagoras rule, which we already know, our hypotenuse is given as 17. Our hypotenuse is here 17. Remember, we said that the hypotenuse is the longest side and always facing our right angle. This is our right angle. So our hypotenuse is always facing our right angle. So we have 17 squared equals 15 squared plus x squared. So we have 15 squared plus x squared. Now just call the hypotenuse is equal to the sum of the square on the remaining two sides of our right angle triangle. At this point, we have to find the unknown. Now we square all of this. 17 squared will give us 17 times 17, which is equal to 289. 17 times 17 will give us 289 equals 15 squared is 15 times 15, and that will give us 225 plus x squared. But x squared, at this point now we collect like terms. X squared will give us 289 minus 225. This plus this, we have 289. For us to get our x squared, it will now be 289 minus 225. Let's check. 289 minus 225. We have 4 and we have 6. So our x squared, we have 64. Our x squared, we have 64. X will now give us square root of 64. So our x is 8 meters. Square root of 64, our x is 8 meters. So the distance here, the length of the wall will give us 8 meters. If we don't get our sketch correct, it will be difficult for us to get the right answer. In fact, it's almost impossible for us to get the right answer if our sketch is wrong. So you read the questions carefully and make sure that you get the right sketch first before you can now apply the rule. We say that the ladder is 17 meters long and it leans against a vertical wall. You can see our vertical wall. Ladder is 17 meters long, leaning against our vertical wall. And we are told that the ladder is 15 meters away from the wall. That means the distance from the foot of the ladder to the wall, we have 15 meters. How far up the wall does the ladder reach? We are looking for this, the length of the wall. The length of the wall where it stops at the point where the ladder leans on the wall. So we call it x. Since we can see that this sketch now forms a right angle triangle, we apply Pythagoras rule. This is our hypotenuse because it is the longest side of the triangle and facing our right angle triangle, facing our 90 degrees. So 17 squared will now give us 15 squared plus x squared. The square of 17 is 17 times 17, which is 289, equals square of 15 is 15 times 15, which is 225. Now 225 plus x squared. X squared will now give us 289 minus 225. If we subtract this, we get 64. So our x squared is 64. Therefore, our x will now be square root of 64, which is 8 meters. So our x is 8 meters. Okay, now let's look at these few examples. Find the values of the labeled side in the figures below. We have 3 figures on the board, the 4 right angle triangles, and we have to find the unknowns. For this one, the hypotenuse and this other side is given, we have to find x. Since it's a right angle triangle, of course, we apply Pythagoras rule, which is x squared plus 24 squared equals 25 squared, because 25 is the hypotenuse. So we say x squared plus 24 squared is equal to 25 squared. That's applying Pythagoras rule. X squared plus 24 squared is 24 times 24, and that gives us 576 equals 25 squared is 25 times 25, that gives us 625. 625. So x squared will now give us 625 minus 576. We subtract 625 minus 576. We have 9 and 11 minus 7, we have 4. So our x squared will give us 49. X squared gives us 49. So x give us square root of 49. Therefore our x is 7 centimeters. Because the dimensions are in centimeters. Our x is 7 cm. So our x here from the triangle is 7 cm. Since we have a right angle triangle, we apply Pythagoras rule, which states that x squared plus 24 squared equals 25 squared. As we have here. Now the square of this will give us 576, and the square of 25 will give us 625. So x squared plus 576 is 625. Therefore, x squared will now be 625 minus 576, and x squared is now 49. So x will now be square root of 49, which is 7 cm. So our x there is 7 cm. Our x is 7 cm. Now before I saw the next one, therefore means that 7, 24 and 25. These three sets of numbers form Pythagorean triples because they obey Pythagoras rule. 7 squared plus 24 squared will give us 25 squared. So we call this Pythagorean triples because they obey Pythagoras rule. Now the second one, we have two right angle triangles here. We have two right angle triangles here. How do we find x and y? We first find either of them. We can begin from x or y, but I choose to begin with x. Now this is the first triangle. We can call it triangle A and triangle B. For both x and y, we are the hypotenuse respectively. Here is 3 squared plus 4 squared equals x squared. Here will be 4 squared plus 7 squared equals y squared. So we say x squared that's x squared plus 3 squared equals 4 squared. Sorry, x squared is equal to 3 squared plus 4 squared because x is the hypotenuse. So x squared is equal to 3 squared plus 4 squared. So we have x squared equal to 3 squared is 9 plus 4 squared is 16. 9 plus 16 will give us 25. So our x squared is 25. So x will give us square root of 25. So our x we have as 5. X squared is 3 squared plus 4 squared. 3 squared is 9 plus 4 squared we have 16. So x squared is now 9 plus 16, which is 25. X will now be square root of 25, which is 5. So our value of x here is 5. We now find y. Applying the same Pythagoras rule, we have 4 squared plus 7 squared is equal to y squared. 4 squared plus 7 squared is equal to the square of the hypotenuse. 4 squared we have 16 plus 7 squared we have 49 is equal to y squared. Now 16 plus 49 gives us 65. So this 65 is equal to y squared. That's 65. So our y squared is 65. How do we find our y? Y will now be square root of 65. Square root of 65. If we find the square root of 65, we get y to be 8.06. 8.06 as our square root of 65. We can approximate to 8.1. In one decimal place, we have 8.1. So the square root of 65 by approximation, we have 8.1. So we have found our x. Our x is 5 and our y, we have 8.1. So we go to the last right angle triangle where we have here 5 squared plus 12 squared equals x squared because x is our hypotenuse. So it will be 5 squared plus 12 squared equals x squared. 5 squared plus 12 squared is equal to x squared. The square of 5, we have it as 25. That's 5 times 5 plus the square of 12 is 12 times 12, which is 144. This is equal to x squared. If we add 25 to 144, we get 169. 169 is x squared. So our x will now give us square root of 169. Square root of 169 is 13. So our x is 13 cm. Our x is 13 cm. So with that, we have come to the end of the class on revision on Pythagoras rule. The questions I just solved from, I think that this was one of the assignments I gave you previously. Okay, there are so many other assignments I've given you which I'm still expecting. So you can as well submit it. If you still encounter any challenge, feel free to come to school or write down your questions and submit in school. See you next week.